everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back to Becoming Abraham, episode 4, where we work here to empower those who are being the first, whether it's first in your marriage, first in your family, first in your friend group, first in your circles. Everybody has to step out into the unknown, and so we just want to be that encouragement to you, doing what you do, job, marriage, family, school, whatever it is, you're called to be the first. We want to encourage you. So we thank you again for coming and listening, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on a podcast. We just want to thank you for taking time out to come and rock with us. So don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and give us a thumbs up, subscribe, all those good things. Like I said, I'm going to be like one of the cool kids, and you look down below on the show notes. Check us out. If you're listening to us on a podcast, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, all that stuff, please give us a 5-star review. We would greatly appreciate it. It helps to get the work that we're doing out to as many people as possible. Hey, share the link with a friend if you like what you're watching or listening to. Please share what you're listening to and watching with friends and family. We want to, again, empower as many people as we can. So, again, thanks for rocking with us today. So, I got a hat on. I'm trying to be hip and cool. I got a special guest here today. I told you guys that I was going to have my family on some of the future episodes. Well, we have reached that time. We've reached that time. I got my son here, my only son.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Jelani. It's nice to be here. Nice to be a part of Becoming Abraham, part of being the first.
Yeah, son. So glad to have my son here. I have him here for a special reason, and we're going to get into that very shortly. So again, just want to continue off of the series of episodes that we've been doing. As I've told you all before, I choose to follow the God of the Bible, and so because I do, a lot of my life experience and a lot of the things that I had to walk through as a first-time father and husband, and coming from some of the different things in my background. I make sure that I relate that back to the scriptures and do my best to walk that out. But one of the things that and my son and I were just chatting about this before we started to record. I said, sometimes, I know you guys, I have 2 daughters as well, but I said you guys as a collective. I said, sometimes you guys might think, oh man, Dad has it all together. Dad knows what's going on. Even if we don't, Dad knows. And I said, sometimes as a father, you don't always know. You don't always know exactly what's going to happen next. You can do your best and trust in God and do all the different things as it pertains to your faith, pray about certain things. You make sure that you're wise in your decision making. You're diligent about doing all the things that you're supposed to do, but there's still a small part of you sometimes, not every time, because we are certain, I am certain in many respects, but there are those moments where you're like, man, I just don't know what's going to happen in this case. And that many times can happen to those of us who are making this journey as a first-time father or first-time husband, again, or if you're starting a business for the first time, or you're the first person in your family who went to college. There's a lot of firsts, and you can sometimes step into an unknown arena where you might not know. And so it's awesome when you get moments of encouragement from others who are sort of outside, not in your head, in your head or in your body, right? Someone from the outside who will bring you that word of encouragement from another perspective that you weren't even thinking about, right? And when they bring it to you, it almost like, oh, so the stuff I'm doing is actually the way it's supposed to be done, and they're able to experience the fruit of it. So I brought my son on today because I wanted him to share his story, because there's a particular story where he shared some stuff with me that was so powerful, and it was super encouraging for me. And I've already told him all this, so this is nothing new that he hasn't heard before. But he was sharing some things with me, and I want to give the backdrop, and then I want to let you, definitely share the story, son. So I do book studies with men. If there's a particular book that I'm reading or a book that by an author that I've read some of their previous writing, and I'm going into the next book, I'll invite some other men to join me. So I've done about 2 or 3 of these. I'm actually doing one right now, and I think I shared this before. I'm doing one right now with one of Jason Wilson's books. Shout out to Jason. You know, you do great work, brother. The Man, the Moment Demands. Right now, we're going through that book. I got about 5 or 6 men that we're going through that book. But a previous book that I was doing with some men, you know, I invite my son to join. I always want him to be around mature men who are growing, men who are, you know, attempting to walk in their purpose. Even though he's younger, he's just a teenager, I would still say, son, come and join us. Listen, even if you don't have anything to share, come listen. And so after about, I'd say a couple of months, it was like a few months, we were in these meetings, and I'm just like, you know, son, so I pulled him to the side one day, and I said, son, when I invite you to these meetings, you know, you're an equal member. Even though you're younger, you know, you have free reign to share. So if there's something in the book that you've read or something in our dialogue about a chapter that sticks out to you, jump in, share your thoughts. I don't invite you here to only be a spectator. And so share with, you know, I would love for you to share with everybody, you know, what you told me that one time when I pulled you to the side and was like, you know, really encouraging you to, you know, share some of your thoughts.
Yeah, so a little bit of background. I'd always kind of dreaded those meetings, to be honest. Like, going as a young teenager, I was about, like, it was a while ago. I was about 13, 14. So, you know, it's just a bunch of, in my mind, it's like a bunch of old guys going to talk about just, you know, grown man stuff. And I'm just over here in, like, the 9th or 10th grade, still got homework to do when I get home. So it's kind of like, I'm just kind of just sitting there. And then when we were driving home, and then when you said it's like, you know, you're like, you don't ever talk about things, you don't ever have like chime in any of the group discussions. And so I was like, I can't remember what part of I think it was right after in the book where he found out his brother was dead and he had like been tortured. And then like he talked to his dad or something, and his dad kind of didn't do anything. He was kind of talking about the absence of fatherness, and I was just like, well, I don't relate to any of that. You know, my dad's been here, and he's been here my whole life, and we've always done stuff together, and there's no absence that we've ever had. And so I'm just kind of sitting there listening to all these people with, you know, their struggles and problems and issues that they've had with, you know, their childhood and fatherhood, and I'm just kind of like, oh well, I'm sorry that happened. I have no way to. I mean, you feel a little like empathy, but there's no way to kind of relate to it, so you kind of sit there. And even now, sometimes I still kind of just be sitting there. I mean, I understand how to like. I feel like as I've, you know, grown-ish, like grown up a little bit more, I've related to people my age who've had similar issues and know how to like, you know, work around it and talk through them. And so I've been able to navigate, you know, talking through an issue. But as of like in reference to relating it, I still am not like relating to the whole broken home, air quotes, as you would rather say, because we've never had that. There's never been no issues with marriage or kids, relationships like that, and that's just kind of how it was going to the meetings, just sitting there as a spectator.
Wow. Yeah, I was taken aback. I remember when you shared that with me, I was like, and again, you know, for anybody watching, you know, it's like, oh, so what I'm doing is what's supposed to be done. Because yeah, I mean, when my son shared that, he was like, Dad, I don't really know how to identify with any of what the guys were talking about, because I don't see myself in any of that brokenness or that fatherlessness. And I remember at first I was kind of like dumbfounded, but then I kind of sat back and was meditating on, you know, just really meditating on some of the words you shared. And I really felt like God was like, son, he is experiencing all of the stuff that you guys talk about. And I remember thinking like, oh, for real? Wow, okay. And he's like, so don't be disappointed or upset. He's, you know, beginning to walk in the stuff that you guys are talking about. So there is a fruition. Like, things can come to fruition. Things can begin to manifest, and I can only, you know, anticipate the things that his sons will share. You know, growing up with him, having been in an environment that I feel like God has used me to sort of cultivate for him, and not having the reference points of brokenness and fatherlessness and and struggle and having to go through things alone and being the first, because one of the goals of being the first is that you work to get to a point where everyone doesn't have to redo the steps that you did. Like, I know that there are things that you're going to have to walk out on your own, right? You have your own road that God has paved out for you, but you shouldn't have to re-walk the steps that I've walked. You should be able to say, my father has shown me A, B, and C, so I know how to navigate A, B, and C. Now, you may have to walk through D, E, and F.
Well, when you say, like, obviously walking through steps, there's things that your father does that you shouldn't have to do.
Right.
Like, what do you mean? Like, what will be some of those repeating steps that you've seen, talking to other like men about?
Well, prime example, like what you and I were talking about just on Thanksgiving. For those watching, we are recording this, covered this after Thanksgiving. We had a nice, wonderful Thanksgiving. Happy belated to anybody who's watching. When we were talking about saving, and you were saying some things like, yeah, Dad, I'm not able to save as much as I used to because I got to do some stuff for that class that you have to go to. But you were able to pull on that because you already understand the principle of saving for moments when you need it, right? That's the principle of saving. The principle is save for the moments when you'll need the resources, and you had the resources because we had already started to practice that principle of saving, once you first started your first job, right? Well, that's a principle I really wasn't walking in until probably my late 20s, right? I'm approaching 30 years old before I really begin to walk in a place where I understand the principle of saving and preserving resources for the moments that you need it, right? And so even in just something as small, I mean, it's not small, I'm not trying to minimize it, but even in something as basic as that, because it really should be a basic principle, you're probably 10, 12 years ahead of where I was. When I was 17, 18, 19, I was not thinking about saving. I was thinking about buying flashy clothes, buying expensive sneakers, trying to impress a bunch of people that honestly don't really matter, right? Many of them I don't even talk to, many of them I haven't seen, but how much more would I have benefited had I been in a mode to save? So that's an example of, a principle from a father to a son that I can pass along so that you don't have to figure that out on your own when you're 28. Like, I should probably be saving. I'm living check to check, and I'm, banging my head against a wall trying to figure out this financial situation. So that to me, that I've seen in your life as an example, like, okay, again, just a reminder, like, okay, wow, there is some results if you do it a particular way. You can see results. So, man, I just want to encourage you out there, and even for the ladies as well. There are results. Things will come to pass. You have to continue to persevere. I definitely just want to encourage everyone who finds yourself in those unknown spaces, those uncomfortable situations where you're having to walk some things out. Continue to push forward. One of the fruits of the Spirit in the book of Galatians in the Bible, one of the fruit of the Spirit is perseverance. And so I would just encourage you to persevere, because there are people that you probably don't know right now who are counting on you. They're counting on you to persevere. When I was having to navigate a lot of things in the unknown, my son wasn't even born yet, right? He didn't exist. But God knew that there would come a time where others would come after me who would depend on me persevering and pushing through things. And so I just want to encourage you all out there, if you're in those modes where you're having to be the first and kind of walk through things, push through and persevere.
And for younger men, specifically of my age, I want to, encourage you as well, because there's going to be a lot of people around our age, coming into young adulthood that's gonna be want to do a lot of recklessness and a lot of recklessness and a lot of nonsense. And it's one of my dad's favorite scriptures. I forget what verse it was, but the Paul says, when I do what I don't want to do so that I can
Romans, so that I can, the things I don't want to do, I find myself doing.
Sorry, but
it's all good, all good.
But yeah, the things that I don't want to do, I constantly find myself doing. And things that I do want to do,
when I'm not doing.
Yes. It's I mean, yeah, there's gonna be a lot of people doing a lot of stuff that's gonna seem cool, but then again, those might be the same people that are struggling with the basic principles like saving. And there's gonna be this kind of path is gonna be thorny. It's not gonna be easy. It's gonna be a lot of struggle, but there will be a light at the end of the tunnel at the end of the day, because God wouldn't just put you down a very difficult path with no end in sight. That's not his character. And if you read the Bible, you'd understand that he'll heat up situations for you because he wants to get something out of you. He's not just making it difficult, because there's a reason that there's a reason that this same issue is popping up, or in a difficult situation you found yourself in. And so I just, a lot of times even on social media, you see there's not a lot of things that you see. There's not a lot of positive things targeting like not my generation, but my age bracket, I'll say. There's a lot of people encouraging, men, being families, and obviously that's good, and women as well. But there's not a lot of people targeting adolescents transitioning into young adulthood and how to navigate the peer pressure and the responsibilities, but also still kind of being not as like a kid, but not like a grown adult. And I just want to encourage you, just be. I'm using all these big grown up words, be diligent and all that, but just stay disciplined. That's all that you really need. You need to stay disciplined, because, like you said, there's gonna be people counting on you that you ain't even met yet, and you 16, 17, 18 coming into that young adult, and there's gonna be people that's gonna depend on you that you ain't even met yet. So I just want to encourage all the like young adults that are watching or tuning in. So
yeah, because I'm old. No, I'm kidding. So again,
it's a little old,
just a little bit. But again, thanks you all for listening. Again, I hope this is encouragement to you. Again, not just for those who are on the parent side, parent, father, husband, wife, mom, but also, as my son declared, that those of you who are on the other side, there's a generation that will come after you. Gen Z is not the last. There will be other generations after that, right? There's already the next one. I think it's Gen Alpha. That's already, so there's, things continue to move. Things continue to go. And for those of you who are stepping out into the unknown and you are the first, you have the opportunity to lay the tracks for those who are coming after you. You have the honor, the privilege of laying those tracks. So like my son just said, don't give up, stay disciplined, stay diligent, lay those tracks. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. If you're listening again, give us 5 stars. If you're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that stuff. If you're on YouTube, give us a thumbs up and subscribe. We do appreciate you guys. And again, it's okay to be the first, step out into the unknown. Welcome.